event, as you might as well know, being organized by K&K's Green Palette. Thank you. It's been organized by Green Palette, an NGO that is part of the Koranteng Legal Advisors firm. And this is a commitment to plastic pollution. In Africa today, Ghana has an enviable position of being in different ranks. For example, Ghana is the second highest ranked country in Africa when it comes to open defecation. About 18% of the population in Ghana are involved in that practice. We are behind only Sudan. It's a startling revelation. Ghana is ranked part of the top 10 in Africa when it comes to plastic pollution. That is also another startling reputation. And then when it comes to the corruption index as well, globally, perception index, I think we are 68 or 70. So we keep scoring all these records as a country. When is that going to take a different path altogether? So today, it's a discussion. We are here to enjoy, to engage each other, and reason together in harmony on how we can move further in terms of the issue of this or the scourge of plastic pollution and what we can do to support it. There are so many people that we're going to be on the panel. Interesting things that people are doing with plastics just to, bring the whole pollution down to a level that we can make it sustainable. And today we are here to listen to these things and enjoy them. So we'll start with an opening prayer. We have a rep from Koranteng Legal Advisors to give us the opening prayer. And then we will hear from the guest speaker. And then the panel discussion will come. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly stand up for prayer. Dear Lord Jesus, we thank you for a wonderful day. We thank you for the opportunity to come here. We commit this day into your hands. We commit the event into your hands. We commit all the panelists, the speaker, the moderators, all the relevant stakeholders into your hands. We pray that the purpose for which we gathered here shall be fruitful, shall be accomplished. We pray for wisdom in our dealings. We pray that everything that we say today, we will take a nugget of it and then make sure we put it into practice. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Asida, teaching and for the opening prayer. At this point, we need an opening address, just a curtain raiser, a kind of inroad into why we are here specifically. And so we want to invite Bridget Ejay, who is an associate at Koranteng Legal Advisors, to tell us something we all need to hear before we continue. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to be very brief. Good morning, distinguished guests, partners, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Green Palette, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to our inaugural Stakeholders Conference, which is themed Beyond Plastic, Collaborative Solutions for a Greener Tomorrow. We are truly honored by your presence and shared commitments to shaping a future that embraces long-lasting solutions to our plastic crisis. Green Palette is the ESG initiative of Koranteng Legal Advisors, and it was born out of a simple but powerful conviction, which is that we must move from conversation to collaboration. We must move from policy to practice and from awareness to action. Today's gathering brings together a diverse and dynamic mix of stakeholders, from public and private sectors to actors in civil society, academia, development, the media, and creatives. all of us play a vital role in shaping Ghana's green transition story. Today, the world faces a challenge that spans industries, geographies, and generations. Plastics, which was once hailed as a miracle of modern innovation, now poses as one of the most urgent environmental crises of our time. And this is threatening our ecosystems, economies, and health. Today's situation isn't just a crisis of pollution. It's a call to reimagine our systems. It's a call to innovate responsibly. It's a call to, most importantly, collaborate across sectors. This is precisely why we are here this morning. Not only to understand the scale of the problem, but to be part of building the solution. Driving meaningful, lasting change requires bold partnerships. It requires inclusive thinking and a shared sense of commitment to co-creating stronger, greener, and more inclusive economies. During this conference this morning, we will hear from very remarkable individuals, innovators that are turning plastic into opportunities, artists that are transforming discarded material into meaning. We're going to hear from financiers that are channeling investments into green futures. We are also going to hear from advocates that are ensuring equity and environmental justice and ensure that they remain at the center of the conversation. We are deeply grateful to our speakers, which you're going to see very soon, to our technical collaborators, to our sponsors, to our partners. I'm sure you see them branded all over the place. To those that have contributed to make today possible. Together, we are laying the groundwork for ongoing dialogue. Data-driven decisions and deliberate action toward a more sustainable future that would extend well beyond today. And so, as we move into today's sessions, let us remember that change is not possible. It is necessary. It starts with us. It starts with the people in this room. Let's challenge assumptions. Let's forge new partnerships and leave this conference not just inspired, but truly equipped to act. Together, let's go beyond plastic. Let's go beyond plastics and leave no one behind. Once again, thank you very much for being here, and welcome to Koranteng and Koranteng Legal Advisors Green Palettes Green Stakeholders Conference. Thank you. And you'll see around you we have some screens. So if you would take a look at the screens, we have something very special for you, which is our Green Palettes video. So this is coming up for the very first time. We are unveiling the Green Palettes video. It's a visual experience of who we are, what we stand for, the journey we've begun toward a more sustainable initiative and environmentally conscious Ghana. It also captures the spirit behind this gathering and the purpose that drives our work every day. We hope that the video we are going to show to you this morning would inspire you, it would inform you, and invite you to walk and take the journey with us as we begin. Thank you. Please enjoy the video.
A vibrant nation with a rich cultural heritage is facing growing environmental challenges. Climate change, pollution, deforestation, biodiversity loss, water scarcity, land degradation, ocean acidification, and poverty management. These challenges threaten our environment, our communities, and our future.
As Koranteng and Koranteng Legal Advisors, our commitment goes beyond legal solutions. Through Green Palette, we champion environmental sustainability, aiming to make a lasting impact for the next generation by supporting initiatives that tackle climate change and advocate for other green solutions.
We have participated in the Republic of Ghana's Green Ghana Day in both 2021 and 2022, planting a total of 100 trees within the parade. This year, we supported the Anti-Malaria Prevention Foundation, with 15 of our staff contributing over 20 hours to clean up the 6-kilometer treatment health to aid the construction of a brand new health facility in Koranteng East End.
Ghana generates approximately 1.1 million tons of plastic waste each year, of which only about 5% is recycled. The rest often ends up in landfills, rivers, and oceans, contributing to widespread pollution and endangering marine life. Green Palace's new initiative introduces a creative solution to Ghana's plastic waste crisis by transforming waste into art. We are partnering with local artists who repurpose plastic waste to showcase their talents and raise awareness about sustainable practices. Through organized exhibitions, we aim to raise funds to support communities affected by climate change in Ghana.
By launching this initiative, we're not just supporting the creation of art, we are creating change. Each piece has a story of hope, a better future for our environment.
By partnering with Green Palette, you support the fight against climate change and contribute to building a cleaner, greener Ghana. Together, we can reduce our plastic footprint and turn waste into something extraordinary.
Resolve to go green. Compromise. Volunteer. Follow our journey and donate to support a sustainable future. Green Palette, your green advocate.
I think the short video tells us all as the commitment of Koranteng and Koranteng legal advisors for a greener, a better Ghana through the elimination of plastic waste and all the other things that scourge and destroy our environment. I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors for this morning. We have the United Nations Ghana. If the reps from United Nations, please, can you wave us? We thank you for supporting this cause. Omnibusec Bank, yes, definitely. Omnibusec Bank, not just another bank. If you are here, we appreciate your support. Thank you, sir. First Bank Ghana as well. First Bank is here as well. First Bank, I see you. Welcome and thank you for supporting us. We have, of course, Koranteng and Koranteng legal advisors, all the members, all the associates, and all the partners. I see Jesse and I see Nana as well. Thank you. We have Asili Coffee. Oh yes, the man himself. Thank you, John. And the green gold. I see you. Thank you for supporting this worthy cause. We are now at a point, not the high noon, but almost close to the high noon of the event altogether. We would hear from our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker has an interesting name. You'd think, I actually thought he was Ghanaian, and then eventually, slowly but surely, we got the indication that he is indeed Ghanaian. Mr. Tolu Kweku Lakwa is a visionary leader who is now the executive director of the UN Global Compact Network in Ghana. Tolu has always been committed to gender and equality, ethical business, and I think he's been one of the key advocates for an equitable, sustainable Africa where people can get what they deserve and can commit to transforming the environment. That has been his passion all through. And today he's here to share his story with us and to also give us food for thought. So let's welcome Mr. Kweku Tolu Lakwa.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Pleasure to be here. Yes, my name is Tolu Kwekulakwa, and I am a Ghanaian. I have a very diverse background. In fact, it's so diverse, I feel that I'm a proper representation of the African Union, the MGH. So pleasure being here. But yes, I'm a Ghanaian. I also attended Legon, did my undergrad there, and then did my master's in the US, and then came back to Ghana. And I'm happy to be back here to continue working in this very important sector. And I'm also here representing the resident coordinator's office. They asked me to step in and play this role to speak on plastics. And I'm very happy that I was called, because I particularly have a very strong interest on this subject, plastics, because it is something that I have seen. Of course, we've all seen it in our country, and it's becoming a menace that we have to tackle. Whether it is in our public spaces, whether it's at our beaches, in our homes, in our communities, on the streets, plastic has been ubiquitous. And it's about time that we do something quite transformative and revolutionary to address this. So I'm going to be speaking to you about plastics. And to start things off, let's talk about the origin of plastics. What is it and where did it come from? How do we get to where we are today? So plastic was discovered around 1907 in a different form, by accident. Scientists were doing other things, or trying to discover other things, and then they discovered plastic. By this point, it was in its more natural form. It came from different sources of plants. Over time, people discovered other things with it. Nylon was discovered, other materials were discovered. But it was in 1933 that they discovered that they can use synthetic versions of it. And that's where we get the plastic that we're very familiar with today. And that is the polythene. So what happened? What happened was, over time, expansion of this grew, particularly during World War II. So in World War II, they found very good uses for it. They used it in their fighter jet planes, for their window panes. They used it for their parachutes. So paratroopers were jumping out of airplanes and landing behind enemy lines. So the warfare changed during this period. So the whole of the world being at war, you had countries like the United States, Russia, turning their entire industrial base to manufacture some of these products. So most of the companies that were in existence at that time, their entire value chain was to pump out weapons. So at that time, the US had about 60 aircraft carriers, about 11 million men fighting. Russia, Soviet Union had a whole lot of people. So I'm just trying to give you the scale of industrial war at that time. And plastic was a very usable material during this time. Now, after the war was over, most of Europe was destroyed, most of Asia was destroyed. The United States was the sole country that was not affected by the war. The mainland was relatively intact. So what happened to all those companies that were mass producing weapons of war and things like that? They all now converted to civilian use. So you had a lot of things, from refrigeration, from computers, all sorts of things. And the foundation of this new industrial period was plastic. So plastic has been with us for some time. And as its use became more recognizable, the production skyrocketed. So between 1950, and so in 1950, about 2 million metric tons of plastics was produced. By 2019, By 2019, this figure had ballooned to 430 million tons of plastics each year. And 2/3 of that becomes waste within a short period of time. So if we stay at our current trajectory of plastic production, we are likely to triple this by 2060. And only 9% of plastic waste is recycled globally. And so what happens to the rest? It is incinerated, it is put in landfills, and is put into places where we do not want it to go. Every year, 11 million tons of plastic waste leaks into our oceans. This is globally. And this affects marine life, it affects fisheries, and it affects us also, just from the oceans. So it is estimated that 170 trillion microplastic particles are floating in our oceans today. So these microplastics, they're ending up in our food, they're ending up in our tilapia. I love tilapia, so unfortunately it's in me too. It's ending up everywhere, and it's causing all sorts of health risks. And just to give you a picture of that, because sometimes when we talk about these astronomical volumes, it's very, very difficult to actually picture what that means. I say 1 million tons, 20 million tons, 100 million tons. It still sounds like a lot. But to give you a clear picture of what this looks like, it's like the equivalent of 2,000 garbage trucks. So you've seen them passing past your neighborhood, those big smelly things. 2,000 of those things dumping plastic waste into our oceans, our water bodies, every single day. Every single day. Now that's a very sobering thought. Now, besides the dangers of the microplastics in our water bodies, we also have the issue of greenhouse gases. So 850 million tons of greenhouse gases annually is released by plastic. In fact, if plastics were a country, it would be the 5th largest emitter of green gas houses in the world, more than the entire continent of Africa put together. So let's briefly look at plastics and understand the different types that we are speaking of. So we have the strong and durable molded materials. So these are your buckets, your bottles, your toys, and these are largely recyclables. Then you have your lightweight, your pliables, lightweight plastics such as plastic bags, sachet wrappers, films, pouches, and these are the ones that are not recyclable. All right, testing. We're good to go. Okay. So when it comes to packaging, 36% of all plastic use is in packaging. So you got the consumer goods, the water wrappers, the snacks, your favorite chocolates, all of it is from here. Then in construction, 16%, PVC pipes, insulation foams, paint additives, sealants, widely used because of their durability and cost efficiency, especially in developing countries. You have the presence of plastics and textiles, about 15%. Automotives, so you're talking about dashboards, bumpers, seat components, and lightweight plastics to improve efficiency, but are rarely recycled. Then you have electronics, housing, wiring insulation, circuit boards. Then some of these are difficult to recycle because of their toxic additives that are mixed in with these plastics. Then we got the medical field. You've got medical devices, which represent about 3%, syringes, gloves, packaging for sterile tools, critical but largely single use. So even when it comes to medical waste, they have to have a very special way of disposing of their waste. Okay. Now, when we look at Ghana, according to UNDP Ghana, a collab plastic experiment 2023, as a country, we generate 1.1 million tons of plastic waste annually, and only 5% is recycled. In Accra alone, 300 tons of plastic waste is generated every single day. And much of this clogs our drains, floods our roads, and ends up on our beaches. And just to give you from a personal perspective what this felt like, when I was 10 years old, I was in Ghana for the first time, and I had the pleasure of swimming at Labadi Beach. The beaches were clean. It was so serene. There were horses, beautiful horses. Okay, I'm beginning to sound like Trump. It was beautiful, right? The waters were warm, the waves were nice, and it was my favorite beach when I came to Ghana. About 7 years later, I visited Accra. Now, as a young student, freshly graduated, I was part of a team at the time with the US Department of Agriculture, touring different countries to see what agricultural practices different countries were having. And the whole program was designed to find ways to inspire children back in the US to be interested in agriculture. And during this trip, I took a visit to the beach, the legendary Labadi Beach that I had told so many of my colleagues about. And what did I find when I got there? Plastic. Black, devilish things swimming in the waters of our sacred shores of Accra. And I was confused. And I was wondering, where did this plastic come from? But it was just a little bit. So maybe some fishermen were eating something and they fell out of the boats, things like that. That's what I initially thought. And this was 2004. Then I came back to Ghana. So I went back to the US. I came back in 2005 to attend Legon, do my 4 years in Ghana, like a true patriot. I came back to school here. In just a few years, this plastic had doubled. I didn't understand what was going on here. Then fast forward, I went back, I came back. It was 2016. That's when I permanently moved back to Ghana. I went to the beach, and it was even worse. I went into the water, I came out with a plastic bag around my head. How is that possible? But it happened. And that's when I really began to see okay, no, this is a serious problem. This is a serious problem. So that's when I began to personally take an interest in this. And I took it from a very personal perspective. I'm thinking to myself, I am bringing foreigners to Ghana to enjoy Ghana, to see how beautiful Ghana is, to enjoy Ghanaian food, culture, and so forth. And this is what we're seeing at the beach. I didn't like it because from my perspective, I was seeing it almost like a reflection of me somehow. You're coming to my country and this is what you're seeing. It's like if you came to my house, I invited you to my house and I had things all over my floor. I didn't sweep the place and things like that. Even you will criticize me like, what's wrong with your house? Right? So that's how personalized I took it. And ever since that time, that's when this quest to talk about this issue became particularly strong. So what are the costs to Ghana? Flooding. So just recently we had flooding, isn't it? And what were the causes of flooding? I had a friend. She was telling me something extraordinary. Her place was flooded, and she told me that all of her things floated out the window. I said, no, that's not possible. How is that possible? She said, yes, my things floated out. I said, really? How? Well, I paid a visit to our neighborhood, and you can see that the gutters were all choked. So I was asking myself, is it that our gutters are not deep enough? Do we need to make them deeper? Or do we not cover our gutters very well? But then I asked myself, wait a minute, hold on a second. How did the plastic get there? No, seriously, how did the plastic get there? Is it that it was on the ground and then the rain swept it into the gutters? Is it that people are drinking their sachet and throwing it into the gutters? Or is it that trash was sitting there, maybe waiting for the trash person to come and collect it? He didn't show up, so it just sat there. Scavengers coming and going saying, oh, what's in your bag? Maybe I can use something here. And then the rains came and then poof, it was there. There's a lot of potential stories as to how the plastic ended up there. But the important thing is that it was there. And it caused flooding. And the flooding caused lives and it caused damage to infrastructure. Marine ecosystems are being destroyed and threatened by plastics. So we're hearing stories of fishermen going out to fish and coming back with nets full of plastics. We're hearing stories of fishes thinking that the plastic is jellyfish and accidentally eating it and dying. Certain turtles are under threat because they have been thinking that this is also plastic and they've been eating it and they've been suffocating. There is only one creature in existence that can eat plastics safely. And it is a worm. It's a worm with a very complicated name, more complicated than mine. It is a worm. Now, does that mean for all this plastic we should import thousands and millions of worms to come and eat this plastic? I don't know. I don't think so. So then we also have open dumping and burning. And this is a very serious issue. When we started building my house, my family, we started building our house. We were trying to be environmentally conscious. So all of our waste, we didn't just throw it out into the streets. That's something that really confused me when I saw people building. They'll be breaking down concrete things, and when they're done with it, they don't transport it away. They just throw it out into the streets. The plastic, the waste from windows, you see them, they'll be breaking the windows to make sure that they fit in the louvers properly. And then they'll just throw it. And I said, what are you doing? No, don't throw it. No, stack it. We have to get rid of it properly. But that's something that they do. They just throw it out. And then what happens? They just cover dirt over it. And the same thing with plastic. I noticed. They'll just put plastic over it. No. We need to gather it properly and all these other things. Then I found our workers were now burning the plastics. And when you burn the plastic, you're releasing all kinds of toxins into the atmosphere. But this is a normal practice. They were now burning it. I said, what are you doing? All that chemicals is going to the air, you're breathing it in, you're exposing yourself to cancer. I said, my friends, I want to live long and I want you too. Don't burn the plastic. So we made them to stop burning the plastics. But guess what happened? Those in our neighborhood, once they saw the telltale signs of that blackened ground, oh, this is a safe place to dump things. So they started to bring their trash too. And now they started to burn the trash there. So it took a long time before we began to, no, clear. Anytime we see it burning, well, I'll come there with a bucket of water and I'll just dash it over the place. And then they'll be scowling at me. I didn't care. But we had to change the attitudes. But it took some time. It didn't happen overnight. About a month or two before they stopped doing it. And why? When we stopped them burning the plastic there, over time, nature took over and green grass began to grow there. So I had nature on my side. So that is something that happens. Even our neighbors, they'll be burning trash. Even our wealthy neighbors, some of them are wealthy, big houses, educated, plenty money, and they're burning the trash. So there's a whole story behind that. But anyway, Then we have the World Bank's Water and Sanitation Program estimates that poor sanitation, including plastic-related waste, costs Ghana annually 420 million Ghana cedis, approximately $290 million. Meanwhile, we're looking for money. The cedi has gone up, but still we're looking for money. So, what is the ecological and long-term impact of plastics? So, according to science, plastic takes 100 to 1,000 years to degrade and fragments into microplastics that still persist in the environment and enter the food chain. And what happens when this happens with these microplastics? Well, our cattle, our livestock, our chickens, the delicious things we like to eat, they eat this ground with these microplastics, and that gets into them. So we have a problem. First, our fishes are being contaminated. Our fishes are not safe. Now, meat, goat meat, sala meat, all these meats are also under threat. So, and then also crops, the crops that we eat, our corn, our cassava, our yam, foods that we depend on. So on top of the galamsey that we have, which is a threat, now we also have the threat of plastics. And with the plastics, it's not as visible as the galamsey. With the galamsey, you can see it. You see the illegal farming, the soil, the rivers being muddy. That one you can see. But what about the dangers you cannot see? The risks that are not seen. And then we wonder why, in the last 20, 30 years, we've been seeing a general rise and spike in cancer-related illnesses. And it's not just affecting older people. It's affecting young people. Young people are now getting cancer. So where are we having these particular areas where we are having plastics really choking? The Adol River, which flows through Accra, is choked with plastic waste, making flood risk management impossible. Then Agbolo Bloshi, my apologies, which is a notorious area for burning plastic and toxic waste and releasing harmful fumes into the air. So this is the situation that is in Ghana, that is in Accra. Now, with all that being said, Ghana has not, and of course we heard the Mr. MC say that in Ghana we're ranking very high when it comes to these things, when it comes to plastic production, pollution, and so forth. But Ghana has not been idle. So in 2020, the government launched a national plastic management policy to set up a framework for a circular economy. So that was one action that was taken. Then in 2021, we became the first African country to partner with the Global Plastic Action Partnership to develop a national roadmap for plastic reduction. And then we have different innovators, and we even have some in this room who will be hearing stories from on how they are putting together ways and means for us to manage our plastic crisis. So what should we do about this? What are the recommendations? Well, there's something called the extended producer responsibility policy. In South Africa, they took up this policy in 2021. Now, what this is that it's a policy that means that the person who produces a product that uses plastics, or not necessarily produces plastic, but anyone that produces a product should be held responsible from the inception of the product to the end of its lifetime, to the recycling of its product and so forth. So that could be a potential policy solution. The next solution is investing in circular economy. So to do this, we will need to have material recovery facilities in our major cities, waste transfer stations and waste to energy hubs, green logistics to serve and connect homes and businesses to recycling services. A third potential possibility is a ban on tax and the problematic single-use plastics. So we see in Rwanda they did this. They completely banned tax. And today, Kigali is one of the cleanest cities in the world. Now, I don't think it's just the ban on plastics that contributed to it. I think it's just the discipline they have over there in handling waste in general. So I think whether they abandon it or not, it will still be the cleanest city. But that's what we have on record here. Now, I know that the conversation in Ghana, when this came up, it was not to ban the plastics. There was a conversation that if you ban the plastics, it's going to cost people business, it's going to cost people money. But I asked myself, you're saying that it's going to cost people money, but we have data from the World Bank that says it's costing us money. So do we continue to lose every year $290 million for some people to continue making money off of single-use items that is causing us issues? Is that really the solution that we want? Then the fourth item is to change the mindset through education. I do not believe that those in my neighborhoods and on other neighborhoods burn the plastic knowing that, oh, this thing is harming me and I'm going to continue doing it with a bright smile. I don't think so. I don't think there's a lot of information in our communities about the dangers of plastic use. Even when it comes to using plastics, when it comes to, say, cooking, it is very dangerous to have your food in a very hot plastic and then eat directly from there, because some of the chemicals do leak into the food. There's science on this. And yet, we are still getting our hot cocoa in the morning, very delicious house of cocoa, and I've been doing it for years. You get your hot cocoa, you take it, you mix it, you get your sugar, and you eat it. And you could, in fact, be contributing to a very cancerous outcome because the hot plastic is melting into your food. So I stopped buying the house of cocoa after I was guilt-tripped by the doctors in my family about the dangers, particularly my uncle. He asked me, hey, Kweku, are you still eating that hot Hausa and plastic? I said, no, uncle, I'm not. But this is something that people don't know about. So there needs to be a complete, comprehensive education on plastics and safety. And then we need to strengthen private-public partnerships. Now, this is a phrase that has been said so many times, private-public partnership, private-public partnerships. Now, what does that mean? It means that we need a holistic and transformative system. Am I running out of time? Okay. We need a transformative system for coming together to tackle this issue. So if we are not going to ban plastics and we're going to manage the plastics, then we need to recycle it properly. But the recycling has to be very comprehensive. So I'm going to go very quickly because I don't have time. I am of the view that it has to start first in the household. We don't separate things in the household because it's not part of how we do things. It needs to start from there. You need to have your trash, your biodegradables, your waste, and your plastics. Separate it like that. Now, the next step is that the companies that pick up your trash, and unfortunately, a lot of them are not very good. Sometimes they come whenever they feel like it. Today is Wednesday, tomorrow's Tuesday, tomorrow's Saturday. Sometimes they don't come for 2 weeks. So what happens is this: we need responsible and accountable waste management companies that when they come and take the trash, they don't mix it all together and defeat the whole purpose that we're trying to achieve. It needs to be separated. Then we need the facilities that are properly managed with the technology and the resources to properly dispose of the waste and recycle what can be recycled and dispose responsibly what needs to be disposed. Then there must be regulations that assist in strengthening policies on these arrangements and have enforcement measures in place to keep people in line and not to go against these things. So at the UN Global Compact, we foster innovation. And we foster innovation through our innovation hubs, our think labs, and other areas where we can have companies come up with solutions to plastics. Now, on a very final note, what I will say is that I think we need another transformational invention. We need to invent something else. Now, plastic we discovered by accident, and over 30, 40 years, it became the plastic that we know today. We need to find an alternative out there. If it is in our shopping bags, already in some countries, they have this reusable bags. When you come to the store, you buy the reusable bags. They won't give you plastics. You buy the reusable bag. And then when you go out and you come back and you buy another one, they charge you extra for that one you're buying, because they want to encourage the habit of you going out there and coming back and using a recyclable bag. So there are many, many ways we can tackle this. But what is very clear is that for us to tackle a menace this big and this impactful, it's going to take a collaboration of all of us. It's going to take initiatives like this. It's going to take working with the UN Global Compact, the UN system, government, private sector, your community leaders, your traditional authorities, everyone. It needs an alliance of everyone. But I am in strong belief that if we can do this, and do this holistically, and do this as a nation, as a region, as a continent, as a global community, this is something that can come to pass. Because humans can always surprise you with their ability to innovate. So let us persevere, let us keep to this goal, and let us find the solutions for this menace, for us and for our future generations. Thank you for your time. Oh.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Thank you for the comprehensive journey into time when it comes to plastics and what we can do to avoid plastic waste in Ghana. I think we are now at an interesting part of the whole discussion this morning, where we listen to our panel on what they've been up to and what they have for us this morning. So before that, just to recognize some of the guests that we've invited here. Energy Ministry, anybody from the Energy Ministry, please give us a wave if you're from the Energy Ministry. MasterCard Foundation, definitely, if you're around, say hello. Sika Plast, recycling. UKJCC, so yes. Trashy bags, if you are here, just say hello. The British Council. Give them a hand, please. Send power. Welcome to the Ghana Chamber of Mines. Welcome. Tema LNG. Social welfare, Ayawaso. Yes. Just Pound Green Transitions. Koliba Ghana. Is that what I think it is? Koliba Ghana. Okay. Angola Shanti. CSIR. MTN. There's anybody from MTN? Points Africa. Points Africa, if you're here, please, you're welcome. BFT and Daily Graphic, our media friends, if you're here as well, we appreciate your contribution. Okay, so now we want to have a quick panel discussion just to align on the theme for today, to understand what our panel discussions have been up to and what we can take away from here. So I'd like to invite quickly to the stage Mr. Joseph Yeboah. Joseph Yeboah is actually the lead for strategic partnerships at UNIDO Ghana. Joseph has worked for over 20 years, experiencing, and helping to shape policy on the environment. He's an alumnus of KNUST and the University of London. Thank you, Joseph, for joining us this morning. We have Efia Adofua. Yes, Efia, is that getting it right? Adofua, sorry. Efia Adofua. Efia from Fidelity Bank. I think she's in the sustainability team and Fidelity Bank. We have Mr. McAfee Oku, CEO of Macintosh Africa. McAfee has been doing some wild things. He will share some of them with us this morning. We have Salim Ahmed. Salim is from the Takwadi Technical University, using plastics in unique ways. So thank you all for joining us this morning. I think I need help with the lesson. Yes, thank you. So welcome, gentlemen and lady. Yes.
Okay, no problem. So I can just do it. Still have to be for this production. How about the mic? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think there's one mic in the middle, so you can let it go around as well. So I want to start with Efia, since he's there. Thank you, Efia, for joining us. You're from Fidelity Bank, and first of all, what struck you when you were invited to this event when it comes to the topic at hand and your own role as a corporate rep from Fidelity?
Okay, so for us, it was quite interesting that we were invited to come to this event. Typically banks are known for providing financial services.
Yeah.
So what role are you playing here? But then banking has become innovative and dynamic and changing over the years, and sustainability is a huge part of it. And we recognize and understand the importance of leaving behind an environment for our future children to have. And so coming to this is just to re-emphasize our stance when it comes to sustainability and some of the things that we have in place or we're putting in place to, support the no use of plastics.
Okay, so do you, for example, do you provide finance for things like this in this area, and you have people that you're supporting or initiatives that you're supporting as a bank, for example, currently?
Okay, so at Fidelity Bank, one of our main flagship programs that we have is the Fidelity Young Entrepreneurs Fund, which is specifically for young entrepreneurs, and it's very sector dynamic, and thankfully renewable energy and waste recycling falls under. So any business or businesses who are into this sector have the opportunity to source funding at concessionary rates to support their businesses.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll come to you again, but quickly, just let me go to Makafui. Makafui, what do you do, or who are you?
Sometimes people call me the Ghanaian man instead of the Ghanaian. Some people call me the Gola man. Recently, somebody called me the last plastic vendor. So I work in the sustainability space. In 2017, I was tired about the plastic pollution problem. Like, our politicians are always spending money, there's a lot of talk, but when I look around, I don't see any improvement. And I have asthmatic allergy, so people are always burning plastic, and I was afraid I was going to die. So I'm like, the future I wanted, I am the only one who can create that future. And I want all of you to take this away today, if nothing at all. The future that you want, nobody can create that future for you. Not the government, not your parents, not the organization you work with. You are the one who can create that. So I was asking myself, what kind of future do I want to live in? And it's a future where our communities are sustainable, our cities are sustainable. And the question is, what does it mean to say a community is sustainable? And for me, it's basic things like if you wake up in the morning, you want to jog to keep your cholesterol level down. There shouldn't be uncovered holes on our walkways that you can break your leg. And that's one of the things that we find around. There are a lot of uncovered holes all over the city. And that's a problem for somebody who just wants a job to stay fit. If you live with any form of disability, sustainable communities where you can easily get on the bus, you can easily enter a building without even having to struggle or somebody having to help you before you do that. The sustainable communities where children are not carried away by flood water because our drains are choked, or where children are not learning on the bare floor in our schools, whilst we burn the plastic waste which is causing respiratory diseases and children are dying from that. So these were the kind of things that burdened me. So I made a Christmas tree in 2017 from waste. I didn't plan to start a business. I made a Christmas tree, I did some stories on it on my social media page, and it went viral. Then I had more than 200 people call me that, oh, they've been segregating plastics, and this is one of the other things I want you to take away today. Sometimes you feel like Ghanaians are doing nothing, people are doing nothing, but that's not true. As of 2017, I had about 300 people call me that they've been segregating plastic waste, some people for the last 10 years, and they wanted to pass it on to me for the work I do. So people are doing a lot. Just that we have a challenge with the enabling environment to support people. So I started to do other things from waste. But the foundation was to innovate something from waste to make it a resource. That can be used for a lot of things. So if any of you have seen in the last few weeks that somebody was making school decks from pure water sachet waste, that's my work. And I brought some of the work today for you to see. So the problem we want to solve is that we want to be able to divert the waste from the landfills, divert the waste from the environment into the classroom. By turning the waste into school decks, converting 40 million tons of waste into 2 million decks. Our schools have a deficit of 2 million school decks. Children are learning on the bare floor, losing interest in education, developing health problems. We want to be able to divert that waste, 40 million tons. We want to be able to capture that carbon and store it in the decks for another 20 or 30, 40 or 50 years. And these are the kind of solutions that I'm trying to create, because we do the advocacy, we do the policies, we do the talk, but if we don't connect it with innovations, we end up just going in circles, wasting everybody's time and money, and we don't fix the problem. So that's what I do. I innovate from plastic waste.
Wow. Okay. Give me a hand. There's so many questions I'd like to ask you, McAfee, as we move along, so I'm sure I'll come to you. But was it difficult starting out, for example? You did a Christmas tree, went viral, and then what next? What happened? Because somebody might want to know.
So a couple of things. So when I made the decision that I wanted to now start this as a project, I needed to first, I have a science background, so I do a lot of research and I do a lot of experiments. So I needed to figure out what was the way forward. What are the things I should focus on? And at 2017, 2018, Ghana didn't have a plastic waste management policy. We did not have some. And quickly I realized I was doing something, there was no policy guiding as to whether it was even legal, where to go, how to go about it. So I had the privilege of contributing to Ghana's national plastic waste management policy through the UNDP, and the policy got passed into law in 2020. So that's one side, and policy that will legalize whatever is happening in the space and how it should happen. Then two, I've had the privilege of benefiting from incubators and accelerators for startups, green startups like the Ghana Climate Innovation Center, where they funded my initial proof of concept for some of the things that I've done. And they've also funded a trip for me to do a guest lecture at University of Brighton in the UK, where I was speaking to PhD students about the work I do. So incubation, acceleration, policy influence. Then also I quickly realized that there was a knowledge gap. Some people don't even know what circular economy means, what upcycling means, what carbon emissions. People don't know those things. So I need to work with young people but they don't have the skill set, they don't have the knowledge. Our schools don't have the curriculum to support circular economic training programs. So I designed a training program that was equipping young people on the continent to be able to know what to do, how to work on projects like this. So I've traveled to Nigeria, I've traveled to Liberia, I've trained more than 15,000 young people along the journey. Some of them are working full-time with me and I'm paying them salaries at the moment. Some of them are doing their own projects. So policy, training to fix the knowledge gap, incubation to help startups build capacity. And UNIDO, Mr. Joseph from UNIDO, they are one of the development partners that have supported me in my journey. I have won a grant via them, which is being implemented through the Ministry of Environment, where we are going to do 500 students from the recycled materials for schools and 50 receptacles for waste collection. So these are some of them. And then also there was a challenge of acceptance. In Ghana, the culture is that waste should go to landfill. It shouldn't come back to our homes. So when I make the product, no matter how beautiful it was, people didn't want to take it to their home because they feel it's from waste. So it's easy to sell to a Ghanaian by not telling them the thing is waste. But if I'm selling to a European, they need to know it's from waste. That's how they spend the money. But Ghanaian would spend the money if they didn't know it was waste. So when I'm talking to Ghanaian, I don't tell them it's from waste.
Wow.
So that's the challenge about the market. But it's been good. People are, coming, people are coming around. And most of the customers I've had are Ghanaians. So people are coming around. So it's been difficult finding the funding, but I've been showing people what is possible. I've been allowing people to experience with the Christmas tree, which we install in our communities for the last 7 years. Every year, the Christmas tree. I built the bus shelter at George Junction near Fiesta Royal Hotel 3 years ago, first of its kind on the continent. So it's been more of showing people what was possible and letting them experience it for themselves. And that was how we've arrived at where we are.
Thank you, McAfee. I'll come to you on how we can change the cultural, how we can mold the cultural mindsets in terms of how we can accept some of these things without the stereotypes. I'll come to you. But let me go to Joseph. Joseph, I hear you have money that you are giving to people who are into plastic, recycling. So how can we tap into this well of riches that UNIDO has?
Right, thank you very much for the opportunity. So, UNIDO is one of the agencies, the specialized agency of the United Nations. We focus on inclusive, sustainable international development. And inclusivity means that nobody must be left behind as we pursue industrialization. And that also that industrial development must benefit all segments of society.
Yeah.
So, in practical terms, what this means is that, of course, let me say that we also try to work mostly at the policy level, supporting initiatives like his, but also contributing to to policies and initiatives that help to change the way we see things and the way we work through the challenges, the development challenges that we have. And so, in terms of what we've been doing, if I talk about the project that's to be useful. So first of all, UNIDO, maybe just to be a bit direct, we always say that UNIDO is not the bank, but we have the capacity to essentially work with partners to find the resources to support initiatives like this. And there are currently another project we are supporting up to about 12. Maybe 2 of them are consortia, so that means if we straight them, we will have about 18 initiatives that we're supporting. And and then also there are other initiatives that are looking at solar-powered plastic collection centers, biomass centers, and so many others. Now, to go into a little bit into some of these, so that particular project had the key objective of operationalizing Ghana's national plastic management policy. As he said, in 2019, the government formulated the national plastic management policy, but then we had to support the operationalization. And so that project, through the funding for the Global Environmental Facility, we set out to do that, to support the operationalization. 2, to also be able to avoid unintended emission of persistent pollutants. You know that, as the keynote speaker said, most of our plastics are burnt. In fact, we all have the statistics, 1.1 million tons of plastics every year, and then the statistics say about between 10 to 12% are recycled.
Yeah.
Where do the rest go? And so this project, let me from a more schematic perspective, one was to avoid the contamination of the environment or the natural systems like water bodies, oceans, and things, and then to decouple plastic production from fossil fuel sources, and then finally to create an effective after-use economy. And I'll break it down. Effective after-use economy means that when we are not able to avoid the use of plastics, and then we use it anyway, there has to be a way to address the problem, and that means that one, we could look at it in terms of being able to create jobs, being able to create opportunities, being able to use innovative approaches, solutions like what he has and others have in the space to address that problem. And also, as I mentioned, because of the source of the funding, we're also looking at avoiding contaminating water bodies. The Atlantic Ocean is one of the most polluted in terms of plastic contamination. And so one of the scores that we have as a country is that the ocean is very polluted with plastics. And the fishermen, according to some statistics, by 2050, will be catching, I think, about 10 times more plastics than fish. 10 times, or between 5 and 10 times more plastics than fish. And then also, we are supporting initiatives that are seeking to produce alternatives to plastics from something like cassava starch, so that we're able to address the problem of, because it looks like plastic is, of course, plastic is ubiquitous. That means we use it for several things, and people always have gotten too used to it. So we're thinking about what other alternatives can replace the plastics. So we have this pilot that is coming up that will replace a good percentage of the plastics that we use to put down. So generally, as I said, we mobilize resources. There are other projects like the Ghana Circular Economy Center project, which is also, if you have the time, we have the 5 main pillars. One is to set up a center of excellence for circular economy. And for that one, we are not only looking at plastics, we are talking about agri and agro-processing, plastics, and textiles. For textiles also, Ghana is the second highest importer of textiles. That's a different conversation. That's the second highest importer of second-hand clothing. Second-hand clothing, second highest in the whole of Africa. But to talk about plastics, so we created this center at the Koranteng University. We're using what we call a triple helix approach. So policy, research, and also private sector as well together. The government has talked about having this Ghana Innovation Research Commercialization Center, where all the research that we have, on ourselves, the CSR has about 13 research institutions, and each of these institutions churn out all kinds of research every year because it is a requirement for their own promotion. And also the universities have their research students. I have about 2 or 3 or 4, 5, even some publications. So just me and then others. These professors have minimum of 21 or 22 to be able to get become professors. But how are we able to move this research to affect the daily Ghanaian life? Because our lives must improve. The development, of course, requires that we use our research to back the development. So this triple helix approach requires that we bring institutions like the Technical University. So now they are the host institution for the Ghana Circular Economy Center. There is KN University of University of Science and Technology as the value chain lead for agri and agro-processing. Then there is the University of Cape Coast as a value chain lead for plastics. And the University of Cape Coast is working together in a consortium with the Cape Coast Technical University. There is City Waste Recycling also as part of this consortium. So that's just one pillar of that project.
No.
Okay, can I go on?
No, just so, if you can just summarize and I'll move on to
summarize. So,
Salim.
Ultimately, this project is seeking to support youth, young people. We have a lot of teeny youth and most are unemployed, and so it's seeking to support the youth, the women of all ages, and then also to work with the informal sector. The informal sector really plays a big role in plastic management, and we really haven't been able to figure out the best way to optimize the role of the work that the informal sector does. And so that project is going to give a lot to the informal sector.
Yeah.
And I talk about the private sector. Key thing is that in Ghana, we look at, I was discussing with Makafu, that we look at all, whether you are an innovator, in plastic, whatever, we look at everything as SME. So once you put up a signboard, the digital SME will come to you, they charge you. But there has to be a point where private sector that are working on such green businesses, have to be supported. One, develop their business, their MVPs through incubation, and also supported to accelerate.
Yeah.
And also, then we look at the policy environment that can support them to be able to do more. So I leave it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Joseph and UNIDO for what you're doing. I hope that UNIDO wasn't affected by the Doge budget cuts. I just hope that you're not affected.
Not for now.
Okay, not for now. So just to be clear, Salim, just coming to you. I mean, when did you fall in love with plastics, and can you give us an insight as to some of the things that you're doing currently with plastics?
So my involvement with plastics started from my final year project in the university. So I'm an artist basically, and everybody was painting. I'm a painter, so we are all using the traditional way of painting. So I was like, no, I wanted to carve out myself from this art that I'm doing. And also, I grew up in an environment where we had open landfill. When it rains, it just draws and shows the gutter. So I was like, why don't I try something new? In turning these things, or like raising awareness through waste. So during my final year project, I started collecting. I had collected plastic bottles. So I started doing something, exploring. So
Wow.
I did research and I found a lot, and I wanted to do something with it. So I ended up creating portraiture with plastic bottle cups. So then I continued when I completed, because I wanted to channel that passion into advocacy. So yeah, that's what I did.
Well, so I mean, is it profitable? Is that your business now? What do you do? I mean, are you getting support from, partnerships or support from which organizations, for example?
No, for now I don't have any support, but I have colleagues and partners that are working. We are doing something that I would say is a movement now. So we started something, and also I've been able to attend residencies. So residency is like an incubation program. So you apply and sometimes they shortlist you. So last year I was in Nigeria for an accelerator program. I've been to other residencies in Ghana here. So.
Thank you, Salim. I think you're doing a good job. He deserves a hand. So, when you listen to all these interesting stories, is that an avenue where Fidelity can come in? I mean, and if you're coming in what form? For example, if he were to approach you or were to come to you to say, on your sustainability function, can you support in any way? How do we go about it, or how would you come in?
Okay, so I like that you mentioned you as an artist, because we recently launched our creative challenge, and I wish he had applied.
Yeah.
And so he could have been shortlisted to win, some kind of grant to scale up what he's trying to do. Aside from that, there's still going to be other opportunities. So when it comes out, please do apply. Aside from that, currently, if he's a registered business, again, we're a bank, so we have to, do the whole regulatory stuff as well. He could come under the FYEF program, and then we could see how best we could support him.
Okay, I want to switch to McAfee quickly. I want to understand what going forward, McAfee, for example, the cultural change. I know you've been at the forefront of it, but can you advise us on what can be done to shift our mindsets in this country when it comes to embracing issues around plastics and recycling?
So one of the lessons I've learned when it comes to mind shift change is that people know about the problem. Sometimes we paint a picture to make it look like people don't know about the problem. That's why if you see videos of people emptying waste into the gutters when it's raining, you see them turning their heads and watching it. They know what they are doing is wrong. And people know the problem. We see it every day. So it's not an issue of people are ignorant. Especially those who have not gone to formal school, we think they are ignorant. People are not. There is no motivation. There is no incentives. So if you want to shift the minds of people in an economy where there is unemployment, create an incentive tied to money. If we have municipal assemblies all across the country, if every assembly has a drop-off space or a buyback program, and we have a mobile app, that when I open the mobile app and I'm here, I can see the closest drop-off or buyback place close to me. When I segregate my waste at home, I can just drive by, drop it off for free, or get cash for it. We already have minimum 3 to 5 taxes on plastic waste, sanitation, and import of plastic materials. We already have the tax. One of it is as old as 2011. The monies are being mobilized by the Ministry of Finance. But the money is going into what we call the consolidated fund. What it means is that any money that goes into the consolidated fund, there's no guarantee that it will be used to solve a problem for which it's being mobilized. So recently, one of the MPs said, the carbon emissions revenues, they should use it through their pension fund. So the money will not necessarily be used to fix the problem for which it's being generated. But we can divert some of that tax and revenues that we mobilize. Even if it's just 10, 15, 20% of it, we can create these buyback centers, put the money behind it. People will bring the plastic waste either for free. I have, if you've ever seen a giant bottle for collecting plastic, that's one of my products. And one of it is in front of my facility in Adenta. I've seen people drive from Dansoma to Adenta to just come and drop segregated plastic in it and drive back. People are looking for the solution. So we need to create this environment and enabling environment. We need to fund it, put some money behind it, so that the youth that don't have anything to do and the women that collect the plastic, they can bring it and they can get some cash. So the plastic will stop ending up in the environment. So the mind shift change, economic empowerment for Ghana. It doesn't work for every country, but for Ghana, economic empowerment is one of our best bets to actually shifting people to the other end. And also, when we show people what is possible, and they see it can benefit their communities. When I put the school decks out there in the last few weeks, it's been blocked by all the most popular bloggers in Ghana. People have seen it, and it makes sense for people that we can turn the plastics into school decks and the children will not learn on the floor. So this is what will shift the mindset. When we show them the solution, these are workable solutions and they believe that they can be a key part.
Thank you very much, Makafi. We are running behind time, so we'll quickly go to your final words before we open up for questions and answers. So I'll start with Joseph. Final words briefly, and then we'll go to Efia, back to Salim, and then Makafi finally.
Right. Okay. So my final words. Really, from my perspective, I would say that let us not look at plastics only as end of life, as in grab them, use them, and dispose, or even grab them, use them, and recycle. I want us to look at plastics in terms of one, that if it is possible to avoid using the plastics, please do so. There are so many ways that we can avoid using the plastics. The point is that, not to waste too much time, but the point is that we don't have enough capacity to collect and to even recycle. So it's possible to avoid doing that. It's possible to reduce your use of plastics, please do so. It's possible to reuse plastics, do so. So that by the time the material gets to the point where it really has to go to the recycling, that material will have saved enough to be retired. So those are my last words, that let us really look at the way we think about plastics. It's possible to avoid, it's possible to reduce, and then when it is not really possible to avoid or reduce, then we're redesigning and looking at repairing and other options to be able to address this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Efia, final words.
So for my final words, I'd like to say that the environment or the future that we want, it all starts with us. You are, like Makafu was saying, you're responsible for the future you want to leave behind, and even the future that we have now. So let us all, in our small ways, in our own private homes, in our own offices, do the little that we can do. If it means you begin by starting a movement where you're segregating your waste, even in just your office, so that people can see and understand the importance of sustainability, and that will leave the environment better off than we came to meet it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go to Salim before Makafu will give us the last word.
So I would say it all has to do with our attitude. Because, for instance, the marketplaces, you see, those are the places that serve us with these plastic bags. Whenever you shop, whenever you buy anything, you give it plastic. So it's up to us to, as Mr.
Joseph
said, to like reject or do away with it. So I think also the segregation problem is also another thing we have to look at. Because when I started collecting these plastics, I was then looking at trash bins, but I wasn't getting, all the trash bins were like mixed up. So I decided to look elsewhere. So I think these are the two things I mentioned.
Thank you, Salim. I'll go to Makafi finally, and then we'll open up for questions.
So I like to paint a few pictures for you, and then you take that away. So not long ago, all the sewage that comes from the city of Accra gets dumped into the sea. There's a place in Accra called Lavender Hill, near Koranteng. Some of you have passed there, you can smell the place, but you are not too sure why the place smells that bad. So before, sewage was being dumped into the sea. But somebody said the salt in the sea is so powerful that it will kill everything. Now, Koranteng is upstream. Labadi Beach is downstream. Now, Labadi Beach is the safest beachfront in the whole Ghana. You can walk about 400 meters into the water and you're still standing on the flat surface. So it's the most visited beachfront. But when they dump the thing at Koranteng, it floats down to Labadi Beach. So imagine you are stressed, you are tired, you want to go to the beach and distress. It's not only plastics you are going to deal with. That's why you see the color of the water at Labadi Beach. There's a reason why the color looks like that. It's not bluish. So that's one of the issues. Second issue is one of the biggest landfill sites in Ghana is near Koranteng. When you are going to Koranteng, before you turn on the traffic light, they closed that landfill site in 2014, but the land was never restored. So people still use that as an illegal dumping site. Now, Koranteng is one of the best teaching hospitals in West Africa. It's one of the best places you can deliver if you're pregnant. But imagine you go and deliver Koranteng. They are burning plastics at Advocacy. The first air that the child will smell is the polluted air coming from that space. Now, the last thing I want to tell you is that the waste problem is not a plastic problem. In Ghana, we leave everything in the environment. I've gone to the beach when flooding happened. I've seen living room furniture in the sea. I've seen refrigeration sets in the sea. I've seen taxis inside the sea. Because when things become waste, you just leave them in the environment. And when it rains, the water takes everything into the sea. So critically, there's something called life cycle assessment. When we take packaging materials, so we have glass, we have paper, we have plastics. This is a controversial one, but it's backed by science, so you can check the science. Plastics has the least environmental impact than the other ones. Let me tell you why. So when you look at the journey of the packaging material from extraction and what type of raw material is used to make it. So glass is made from sand. Sand is made from the environment. Paper is made from trees. When we cut down trees, we cause global warming because trees sequester carbon. They keep the globe cooler. Plastic is a byproduct of petroleum. That's why you can turn plastics into fuel. Now, of the three, plastic is the lightest. So when you're transporting it, you use less energy. Of the three, plastic has glass has the best reusability value, followed by plastics. Paper, bottom. Paper is biodegradable, but the reusability value is low. Now, when you're doing paper, you use a lot of water and chemicals, which is not so safe for the environment. Plastics, in terms of the value chain, apart from we living it in the environment, has a better impact on the environment generally. The only problem is because we leave it in the environment. So if we don't leave the plastics in the environment and we can turn them into good raw material, we can fix the problem. I've seen people who have tried paper packaging for their restaurant. After 3 months, they stopped. Because the paper packaging is about 10 times more expensive than plastic packaging. And it affects bottom line profitability for the business. So we all need to do something. We all cannot do the same thing, but there's something we can all do. So I will encourage all of us to figure out what we can do so that the problem can go away. Thank you.
We all need to take a step, and I think it starts with us today. Thank you, my panelists. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Efia. Thank you, McAfee. Thank you, Salim. But before you go, we just have a 10-minute session for Q&As, questions, and sentiments and contributions. John has a question. Can somebody help John with the mic? So please, you can just show by hand and we would come to you so you can ask your question. John, sorry, go on. Okay, Mike. No, do you? Okay. Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay.
That one. We both open side.
No, no. Okay. No, do it. Okay. So John will ask the first question.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is John from Asili Coffee. I'm responsible for the introduction of coffee to the area of Ghana. We are really green advocates ourselves as well. So I sat here and listened to some of the initiatives that you are pushing, and of course there's always a UNIDO fidelity, and it somewhat feels as though all the ingredients to resolve the issue, you're right here, right? But I think maybe save for potentially the state, state representation. I don't know if that's available. But so I just wonder why we don't look at plastic as the way you look at petroleum, for example, as an economic input that should be competitively bid for example. So I think we can restrict to PET. This is Bella got Blochem, I think. So Blochem is probably a plastic company in waters clothing, right? So I wonder if from the state perspective you look at maybe 20-year tax holidays for plastic processing companies that go into producing bottles. And of course there's a socioeconomic issue. So potable water needs to be affordable, hence the whole sachet water epidemic, right? So then if you open up 20-year tax incentives, Fidelity, UNIDO come in with 50% gratis. And the private sector can also just effectively raise the balance to match production, right? And of course, it's protected against state elite. But you have zero tax, match funding, non-unionization clause, which maybe UNIDO may not like. But then in the end, it also reduces the prevalence of the bastardization of the entire initiative, right? So what happens in a situation like that for someone like you? How do you see that impacting? And how do you see plastic itself being a competitively bid for raw material?
John, who is this question for? Sorry. Who's this question for?
Across the board.
Across the board. Okay, so with the carpets, McAfee, maybe quickly, yeah.
Okay, so from my end, so 2 weeks ago, apart from doing the boards for the school decks, I've done roofing sheets from the same material. And the materials they are outside, you can see them. It's 100% pure water sachet, no additives. So imagine that I'm able to receive funding to build a bigger machine that can do a 4 feet by 8 feet plywood size of that material. If I receive that funding now, I can build a factory. That factory can employ a minimum 500 to 1,000 people, about 70 or 80% of them being women who already work in the sector. Then we can fast track the innovation, and then our schools can get the debts quicker, and we can use it to build the schools and fix the toilet problems that we may have in the city and our rural areas. So for something like that, that is how it will benefit me. You can fast track the innovation and commercialization and go to market process, which is critical for us to recover more plastic from the environment, and pass it on for all people.
Thank you, McAfee. Anybody who wants to support? Otherwise, sorry, Joseph.
Thank you very much. So let's go back to the conversation we're having. And this is not too bad. So he said something. He said that, if I was at the level that I am now, I would have applied for $1 million. This is the conversation we had.
Yeah.
During that grant application process. And then I said that, and then he said that, but also the taxes that they are putting on us is too much. The point is, still in Ghana, even though we have this master plastic management policy and others, I'd say that just recently it was announced that the 15% excise tax as the environment tax now is not going for plastic. Going for plastic or any other environmental purpose that is being put in the possibility. That means that it's no longer accessible to the plastic imported for recycling and this. This was initially missing. If you look at the extended producer responsibility framework that is being developed, in fact, that tax was being targeted as one of the sources of funding for that. So this policy regulatory framework that we have is really challenging. Otherwise, what you're saying is a very great idea because other countries are doing that. So they see some of these companies as great companies and they give them tax incentives or other incentives that can carry them to do more. Okay, and even support with the talking about whether it's recycled or not, how do you get people to fancy. So they brand them. You make it look attractive or you make it fancy and then people get attracted to it. Because that's really how from the developed country. So what you said is great, but then we will need as a country to look at our policy and regulatory framework and have consistency in the way we address these issues. Otherwise, one day we say we have this policy that's going to go for plastic recycling, another day somebody says we must go for S-grass, we must go for medical. So these are some of the challenges that we have.
Right.
So yes,
thank
you very much for that. It's a very
Thanks, Joseph. So we've sent everybody a link to Slido. You can, if you don't want to get up, you can ask the question through Slido and quickly we'll answer them. We have a question. Somebody's asking McAfee, how durable are the plastic desks that you are producing?
So I can bring one of the smaller decks, the one for toddlers. I'll bring it here, I'll climb on it, I'll stand on top of it for you to see. You can use it as a weapon to hit someone. That's the joke. But they are very durable. We are doing some tests at Ghana Standards Authority and CSIR to certify that for those who want to see the certificate side of it. So they are very durable. We are building a shed at the moment at our facility with the roofing material, and in a week's time, you can also pass by to see how it works.
Thank you, McAfee. Any other question? There's a hand. Sorry.
Good morning.
Oh, okay. Morning.
Yes.
Go.
So my name is Richard from the British Council, and McAfee, well done. And maybe my question: when we met in Ho, that's the National Education Forum, one of the key challenges for Get Fund is for school infrastructure is furniture, and I'm happy to hear your work initiative. I'm also happy that you say you are doing some 500 decks. So my question is, how do you partner the government institutions, especially CTVET and GTVET, in terms of trying to make sure that our technical application is to tap into your rich work experience? When you look at the data, 40% of the business schools in macro furniture. Not only furniture, but sustainable furniture. And till now, we have about 1 million shortage every year. When you look at the data, 2021, the government spent close to 11 million to supply of furniture. 2022, about 30 million. 2023, it dropped to about 15 million. So, what is your plan as a young entrepreneur? So that at least we want to change our TVET from brown to green. We can't consider cutting down our trees in the forest. So, what are you doing to help the Ghanaian educational system? Thank you.
All right, so we don't have time, so brief questions and brief answers. Thank you. McAfee, quickly.
So interestingly, I was at the TVET head office in East Legon last week, we met to discuss how we can design a circular economy training program for the learners, but also do a trainer program for the facilitators. So I'll be submitting a proposal to them next week concerning that. So they are seriously interested, and we are already engaging to get that to happen. A week or two ago, we might have heard the president saying that he wants us to move away from wood indexes to recycle and metal frame indexes. That is because he's aware of the innovation, and the ministry has briefed him on it. And I was on national security twice last week. And one of the things they want us to do some of the decks for schools. They want us to build workshops in the northern part of Ghana, but they also want us to build training decks for the military. So there's already a lot of engagement. We are looking at the various ways to private partnerships are different from partnering with government, but we are working with the various partners to make sure that we can make that happen.
Sure.
We can push.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a question for Salim Ahmed. What do you need?
So I would say, first and foremost, we need a space, like galleries, museums, because I'm already doing what I'm doing. And also, secondly, the funding aspect.
Yeah,
because sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy to because I've been trying to bring people on board, but because sometimes you have to give them something,
yeah.
so it becomes difficult for them to stay. So I think that aspect as well.
Thank you, Salim. Questions are coming in for McAfee. What is the starting price to get one of your desks? And there are some questions for Joseph as well. I will unpack them later.
So currently, starting price for the desk is 500 cedis. That is also because it's just a new innovation. We are not producing at scale yet. When we start producing at scale, the prices will come down. And then also, some of the things that we do is that 60% of the people who work in the waste sector are women above the age of 40, but they are being paid under the minimum wage, which is a crime, but our governments are facilitating that. We want to fix that. So we procure the waste from women, and we try to use some of that revenue that we generate to buy the waste at probably double the price of what people are paying these women, so that they can improve their living standards.
Thank you, McAfee. Joseph, which is more appropriate at this stage of our development? Somebody's asking you, as a nation, SIN taxes or extended producer responsibility?
Well, so I think that EPR is good because EPR will take care of a number of issues. One, creating a proper, or at least aligning with all the policy frameworks that will support plastic management, effective plastic management. There will also be, and based on the framework that's being developed, there will also be support for the optimization of the informal sector. But as I indicated earlier, the informal sector contributes a very big chunk in terms of collecting and mobilizing and making sure that the plastics in the environment reach the recyclers or other people along the value chain. So I'll go for, because I'm trying to give a brief answer, I'll go for having an EPR which will encompass all the various components.
Thank you, Joe. There's a question, and yes, sorry, from Anglo Gold Ashanti.
Sorry, the mic is actually here.
Okay, but her hand was up actually earlier, so we can. Thank you.
Very much for the privilege. My question is to McAfee and Salim. I thank you so much for. I share in your the drive for the management of plastic. But I just want to ask a question in two areas. The first one is about recycling. We know, apart from the issue of not being able to collect the plastic for further use of recycling, that is one area. The other area we know is that not all plastic can be recycled. So I want to know first, do you use all types of plastic for your work? Then the second one is our microplastics. One of the things we know about that, that over time it degrades and it breaks down, mostly at the mercy of the weather. So the fabrications you have, most of them are outside, like the bus stop you design and the Christmas tree. Have you considered that, since it's going to be at the mercy of weather, and if you've considered, what are you doing about it? Thank you.
Okay, so we can take that question and then we'll move on. So, your question, and then we can wrap up. Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I believe you've spoken about the national plastic. This is the management policy.
Joseph, yeah.
I just wanted to know whether there is some release of benefits for persons, of entities in the private sector. Because I believe the government is the regulator. The government alone cannot fight, or the government alone cannot, what should I use? Cannot solve this plastic issues. Is there probably some subsidies, benefits in this policy for the private sector to be able to support, and then we can have a more holistic approach to solve the plastic impediments?
Thank you. So, McAfee first, and then I think your question is to or Joseph, rather. Joseph, all right.
Okay, yeah, so every production process generates waste, even recycling. The question is, what kind of waste, and then how can you handle that waste safely? There are two ways. So I'm an innovator, I'm a design thinking person. So when I'm designing my processes, I'm thinking, what waste will I generate along my value chain? How can I safely handle that? So one way, we don't use contaminated plastics at Manufacturing Africa. We want to encourage people to segregate. And when waste is not contaminated, you can avoid the use of water in washing them. So when we shred the waste, if you avoid the use of water in washing them, then you can avoid the microplastics that can end up in the environment at that portion of the value chain. Then along the journey, when we make the boards, when we cut the boards with the machine, there are some, just like when you do wood, there is the sawdust, we generate that waste. But the process is designed in such a way that we are able to trap that waste. And I'm already thinking, because it looks like cement, I'm already thinking what we can do with it. So we trap that waste, we store that waste safely, and we put it back in the process to create something else from it. So we have steps in place to avoid the microplastics, we have steps in place to manage it, we have steps in place to recycle that also. We are trying to create a circular system.
Thank you, McAfee. Just quickly, and then we'll wrap up. There are so many questions, but I think we can engage them afterwards during the break in the foyer.
To give you a short answer, I'm saying that it's not clear. The reason is that the policy is there, but in terms of the operationalization of the policy, this is where the challenge is. And so, for instance, there are a number of development partners supporting the operationalization. And one key one is our project, which is the establishment regulatory framework for plastic management, which has supported some pilots and then has some additional funding. Currently we have about $1.3 million to support additional pilots. So I would say that largely it's more of the development partners supporting. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, the environmental tax has been pushed into the budget because of the fund. But there's this EPR scheme that is being developed. I'm very hopeful and sure that by the end it is fully adopted. There will definitely be a financing mechanism that will ensure that green business or people who go into plastic management and other sectors covered by the EPR framework will benefit from some of these potential incentives. But currently, it's not there.
Thank you so much. This is where we come to an end. Shall we give them a hand? Thank you, Joseph from UNIDO. Thank you, Afia from Fidelity, McAfee, McIntosh, and Salim Ahmed. Thank you so much for joining us here. You can take your seats now. We would actually break for a few minutes, 5 minutes, go to the foyer, get some drinks, get some small interaction, and then come back again quickly for the green stories from Fidelity, from Omnibasic, from First Bank, and from Arabas World of Shoes. Thank you so much, and we can move out now. Thank you. Thank you.
In Form 2 in Ghana International School, and I really enjoyed listening to everybody, and I really learned a lot. I run my own sustainable program where I read to children in a government school. And even though the children are not here to get the privilege of learning about being more sustainable, I can give the knowledge to them, and together we can work towards making Ghana a greener environment and work to become more sustainable in our everyday living. Thank you.
Thank you, Elene. Thank you very much. Now we want to invite Omnibusek. What exactly are you doing in this sector? Can you tell us? Can you share some nuggets with us this morning? Omnibusek Bank. Yes. A hand, please.
There you go. Yeah, you can use this.
Thank you, and it's not 12 years, so good morning. All right, so since, let me start with this. The keynote speaker spoke a bit about public-private partnerships, and so let me talk a bit about that. Almost about a month ago, a cousin of mine came down from the Netherlands, and he came on holidays. I mean, this is a guy who, he was born in Amsterdam, his school in Amsterdam, and is currently working in Amsterdam. And in that part of the world, we all know how sustainability is a wonderful thing. I mean, they take sustainability very seriously. And so, for someone who knows so much about segregation and all of that, immediately he landed at the airport. One of the things that he saw was segregated bins there. And obviously, he saw Omnibusek all over it. So immediately he called me, and he calls me Bra. I said, Bra, Charlie, this thing that you're doing, I never knew that, here in Ghana, stuff like that is being done. And for me, when I heard that, it was heartwarming, because for Omnibusek, we are not making too much noise about our sustainability. And so to hear that feedback from him, it was exciting. And so I knew that although we are not making noise, the very little things that we are doing at the bank in terms of sustainability, the engagements that we are having with government institutions, with civil society organizations, these things are really speaking for themselves, and we don't really have to talk much about it. And by the way, what he spoke about is a partnership that Omnibusek Bank had with the Ghana Airport Company Limited, together with the Environmental Protection Authority. Now, these were segregated waste bins, okay, that was sponsored by the bank, and there were about 100 of them to be distributed to all the 5 airports that we have within the country. And I got the keynote speaker and a few of us discussing outside about segregation and how to really, get the menace of plastic waste. And you realize that most of the communication centers around segregation are source. Okay, we saw McCarthy speaking about how sometimes when the plastic is, messed up within all the stuff, it's difficult to use. So they pretty much reject it, right? And so for Omnibusek, that idea of trying to create the segregated bins was in line with the single plastic use and how that has become a menace. Actually, after that particular presentation that we did, we followed suit with an awareness campaign, which again we did together with the Environmental Protection Authority. And that basically was to create the awareness that if it's a plastic bottle that you're using, whatever it is that you're using, it shouldn't end there. You don't have to necessarily throw it away because you can repurpose it into something different. I mean, again, a lot of speakers here have spoken about how plastic is a menace, how it ends up our beaches, eventually in our oceans, and then we know the outcome of that. And so how in our own small way as a bank can we support this? And that was the kind of partnership that we had with the airport and also with the Environmental Protection Authority. And right from, I would say, last year to now, the bank has been doing a lot in terms of sustainability, and we've been asking how best can we incorporate sustainability in most of our activities or most of our operations as a bank, and who else to champion this than the staff, right? And so what we did as a bank was that we rolled out a comprehensive training session for every single member of staff. Okay, so as a bank, we didn't do it by themes because we all know sometimes the Zoom meetings we join and then we are off doing something else. All right, so whether the branch is in Tamale, whether it's in Kumasi, we made sure that we had in-person training for all of them, and the training was basic. All the basic stuff about sustainability, about climate change, about adaptation, mitigation, everything, waste segregation. And I'm pleased to tell you that after that training, a lot of good feedback has come out of it. Now, as I speak, the bank segregates all our paper through the shredder processes. So now we don't add any paper to our bins, and that paper is later sent. We are in a partnership with a paper recycling company in the Suchari, and then they do these tea rolls, okay, with the segregated paper as of now. And I'm left with some few minutes. And as we speak now, we are also trying to come into some form of partnership with a company called Montes House Limited. They do plastic recovery, all right, and we are seeing how best we can also have our plastics recovered as well. So I'm told my time is up. So, but before I wrap up, let me say that on the social side, Omnivisec is doing a lot. I will say that we are the first bank to organize aerobic sessions at work for all our staff. We do that Tuesdays and Thursdays at work, actually. Oh yes, please. And actually, we are having the 8th edition of our health walk coming off on the 28th of this month. So please, you're all invited. It starts at the University of Ghana Stadium, and then that's the starting point, that's the end point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Omnivisec. We'll invite Araba World of Shoes quickly, 2 minutes, and then it will be followed by a rep from CSIR, also on what they're doing. Give Araba a hand, please. Lovely. Go ahead, Araba.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Yes, so I'm Araba from the World Shoe, not Araba World of Shoes.
Okay, so that's what I saw here. Sorry.
Such a huge difference. Okay, so a bit of a
Okay, you finished it.
what we do at the World Shoe. So we are an EVA footwear manufacturer based in Akosombo, Ghana. And what's fantastic about what we do is that our shoes are biodegradable. Yes, they are eco-friendly, they are biodegradable, they are infused with antimicrobial properties to prevent foodborne diseases, they are breathable, they are trendy, and they are made in Ghana. That's a fantastic, extremely compelling, they are made in Ghana. So we are changing that narrative. What's made in Ghana is good, what's made in Africa is fantastic. We are here to get stakeholders on board. We have partnerships going on with Zenith Bank, and we need all of you to come on board. Partner with us, let's distribute the shoes to, the children who need it in underserved communities. So that's why I'm here. You should come to see our factory one of these days. It's a multi-million-dollar investment. It's empowering people in the Sujuman district, creating jobs, solving, health issues, addressing multiple SDGs simultaneously. So come visit us at the World Shoe, buy our shoes. Today it's going for especially discounted amount of 250 Ghana cedis. Usually at retail it's 450, but hey, why not get it for 250 today? So that's my brief presentation, and come see us at our desk outside there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay then, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alba. I wear 44. CSR, please. CSR.
Yeah, I need something to support. Good morning. So I'll give a brief story of plastics at CSIR. So in 2017, Our plastic journey started with a desire to solve our waste management problems. We had a lot of waste piling up because some companies decided not to come for our waste. And we thought about it that as scientists, we should be able to solve our own problems. So we developed a linear model strategy that involved educating the waste generator, providing a vessel for the waste collection, which is primarily for source segregation, and then connecting the segregated waste to buyback companies. So in 2018, we managed to segregate our first waste in-house. We got the plastics, we got clean plastics. We segregated over 80% of our waste. We got clean plastics for recycling companies who were our partners, and we gave it out free of charge. And then our organic wastes were channeled into a biodigestion system that converted it into rich compost and then liquid effluents. And these liquid effluents are usually used in watering plants that our farmers use because they are rich in nutrients. So in the end, we had no company coming to our compound to pick waste, and the contaminated waste was incinerated, and the dust and the ashes we obtained from the incinerated waste were also used in fertilizer preparation. Currently, we are recycling styrofoam because we realize that styrofoam is one of the plastics that are not recycled in Ghana. Elku will tell you they recycle low density polyethylene, high density, but no one is recycling styrofoam. We have developed a method to recycle styrofoam. Unfortunately, if the government bans it, then our innovation will remain on the shelf. So basically that's what we do. But recently, we have partnered with other funding agencies to set up a quality assurance laboratory for e-waste thermoplastics. So the air conditioning, the TV plastics that we have, what happens to them after they have expired their use? There are recycling companies that buy them and send them to Europe. And so we are providing a quality assurance system for them to be able to remain competitive on the international markets. And then also we spoke about microplastics. We have some partners coming in to support us set up a lab that will monitor microplastics in our drinks and our food in Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cesar. Thank you for the good things you're doing. Slowly but surely we've come to the end of the event. But before we say the closing prayer and the disperse, we want to hear from the managing partner of the Koranteng and Koranteng Data Classes. Olivia, she deserves a hand to do it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me good? So thank you so much for coming here this morning. I believe it's been quite an exciting morning. I think we haven't even had enough time to discuss the things that we could have discussed with the panelists this morning. Starting off with Joseph from UNIDO. They've given us insightful information about what UNIDO is doing. To Tolu and his explanation of what plastic is and where it has come from, its historical journey to the beaches of Accra. Thank you very much, Tolu, for that. And then to Makafui,
all the signs backing what you've done and what you are about to do in Ghana. I think there is so much ahead for us to learn and us to sort of get into as far as you're concerned, and especially the technology involved and how perhaps lawyers can help you patent your inventions. That's a very important part of it all. And then to Ifia, I think you only scratched the surface of what Fidelity Bank is doing and what banks can do to assist people in this space. We've had a short discussion during the break about companies and inventors and entrepreneurs not sitting down to be properly formalized. They're not incorporating companies, and yet they are looking for funding for institutions like yourselves. So all of that goes into the training and the awareness in the space. And then to Salim, I think some of you may have seen Salim's art pieces on the screen. He does amazing work, simply with bottle covers. So imagine what can be done in this space. There is so much that can be recycled and used. There is nothing really like waste. Have I left anyone out on the panelists? I think I mentioned you all. Okay. So this morning we've learned quite a lot. And from us at Koranteng & Koranteng Legal Advisors, we formed Green Palette as an initiative because we realized that as lawyers, there is so much more we can do to benefit our environment. It's not simply about us going to court and earning fees from our clients, but we must make a positive impact in our environment. And we decided to form Green Palette as an initiative to be able to focus on that aspect of things. So for those of you who were here when we played the video, Green Palette is not limited to plastics, but we are going to be dealing with everything to do with climate change, all the SDGs that we need to protect, we need to fight towards as a country and as a continent and as a world in general. Green Palette is here to be an advocate in that space. So we'll be talking about climate change in the future. We'll probably be talking about Galamsey in the future. We'll be talking about all other aspects in the ESG space. So there's so much more to come from Green Palette going forward. Now, the insights we've gained this morning, this event has we will consolidate the information we've gathered. We've only scratched the surface. So we'll be reaching out to all of you because we have your contacts and come up with a green paper that talks about how we can better form policies that take this plastic journey, for starters, very seriously. So whatever policies we can put in place so that it's not just talking shop, we've sat here and we've walked away. For instance, the UN team have warned me that this event should not simply be an issue of you've had an event, you took pictures and you've walked away. We have to have concrete steps that we are taking going forward. Watch this space, you'll be seeing a green paper that comes out of this event. Now, we are building a coalition committed to transforming how Ghana engages with plastic. It's from consumption to policy and from waste to opportunity. Everything we've discussed here moves towards SDG 12 in particular, which deals with responsible production and consumption in our environment. So every kind of sustainable practice that we can have, from our procurement activities, from our supply chains, and then also from people like Salim and McCaffrey, who will use art pieces for all types of entrepreneurship. So there's a lot that is coming ahead. Now, for us at Koranteng & Koranteng, we are thinking of coming to you pretty soon with an awareness activity. And at the end of what I'm talking about, a lady from my team, Irene, will be coming here to talk about that. Now, this year, Koranteng & Koranteng Legal Advisors will be 5 years old. And to commemorate that activity, we plan to hold an exhibition of artists like Salim and a few more others, and Dee Arthur, who is here, who will be using or exhibiting their art pieces. it promises to be a very exciting event. So for you corporates here, when we reach out to you about this next event, please do support us. It will be worth your while. Now, I'd like to say some very specific thank yous. Starting off with a company called Red Letter, led by Frances Baba Ofori. Now, Red Letter is a branding and communications company. Now, they don't just brand your logos or what you intend to do, but they put thought into it. So if you want a logo, trust me, Baba will come up with 5 different types of logos and the story behind the logo. She tells stories when she's advising her clients. She will give you a script of what your event should be and what comes out of it. So if you want to go out there and launch anything, it doesn't matter what the product is, see Red Letter and you will not be disappointed. Then some big thank yous to the United Nations team, here represented by Tolu, FBN, Omni Basic Bank. I'm on the board of Omni Basic Bank, so I'm very happy that they agreed to be represented here today. Kinako Invest, there's a team here from Kinako Invest who support SMEs. Are they here or have they left? Okay. The Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Makafui, Salim, Asili Coffee, Joseph, the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Anglo Gold Ashanti, CSIR, BFT and Daily Graphic, the British Council, Ayawaso West Constituency, Kokodema, that's a company that has produced or provided the plants that you see on the table. It's green and recyclable material, and they donated that for today's event. And then Green represented, their company is called Green Gold Ghana, so you can check them out. And then I'd like to say a big thank you to the young lady you saw here earlier, Eline Gadabeku. She's from GIS, she's in Form 2, and this young lady is so conscious of her environment and what happens in it. And when she heard this was happening, she said, I'd like you to write a letter to my principal in school to take a short time off to attend. So that tells you how excited this young lady and how committed she is to what she sees in her environment. And then finally, I'd like to say a big thank you to my Koranteng and Koranteng Legal Advisors team, i.e. the Green Palette team, but most importantly, to Irene Lydia Clotte and Nuna Atipo. These 2 ladies have been amazing. They have endured my torture to get this done today. And I really thank you for that, Irene. So Irene, please come up and tell us about this commitment that you want from people here this morning.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, so I want to take us down memory lane. For those of us who grew up in Ghana, who remembers protect yourself, think, protect yourself. Yes, good. And then who remembers Akwala Ukohe, Meko Library? We remember that one too, okay. And then we remember Hohoro Nsane Seminar, that was recent. We remember that. Okay, so here's a challenge and an invitation. Let's build on the power in this room and launch a 4 to 6 month cross-sector digital campaign aimed at tackling plastic waste through storytelling and behavior change. So the campaign will be in some phases. The first is a mini documentary that captures real stories about plastics. Then the second is a series of short, powerful reels and animations to be shared across digital platforms. Because we know we are in an age where there's a lot of TikTok, there's a lot of Instagram stories, and that's the best way to communicate with the generation that we're having now. Then we're going to have a community-driven push through schools, markets, faith groups, and radio to spread the message wide and deep. What's the goal? It's behavioral transformation through visibility, repetition, and relevance. We'll be reaching out to explore how your organization or agency, that's everyone here, can plug in as a content partner, a co-producer, a digital ally, or a funder. I'll be coming for your money, please. Okay, so let's take the energy in this room and turn it into something that lives beyond today. Something that reaches Ghanaians from all walks of life and gets them to rethink how they engage with plastic. You've had the dialogue. Now let's shape the narrative together. Thank you all for your attention.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from Irene, and I believe that brings us to the end of our program. Please take a look at the video of Green Palette one more time, and thank you for your attention. Have a good day. Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll do that. Okay, after the video.
These challenges threaten our environment, our communities, and our future.
Yes, she will speak after.
Legal advisors. Our commitment goes beyond legal solutions. Through Green Palette, we
You heard my
champion
voice.
environmental sustainability.
You heard my voice.
Aiming
No,
to
I
make
said
a
you were
lasting
doing something and you
impact
realized you could hear
for
my
the
voice
next
right now.
generation by supporting initiatives that tackle climate change and advocate for other green solutions.
We have trees within the community. This year, we supported the Infanta Malaria Prevention Foundation with 15 of our staff contributing over 20 hours clean up the 6-kilometer route during the health walk to aid the construction of a brand new health facility in Golo East End.
Ghana generates approximately 1.1 million tons of plastic waste each year, of which only about 5% is recycled. The rest often ends up in landfills, rivers, and oceans, contributing to widespread pollution and endangering marine life. Green Palace's new initiative introduces a creative solution to Ghana's plastic waste crisis by transforming waste into art. We are partnering with local artists who repurpose plastic waste to showcase their talent and raise awareness about sustainable practices. Through organized exhibitions, we aim to raise funds to support communities affected by climate change in Ghana.
By launching this initiative, we're not just supporting the creation of art, we are creating change. Each piece has a story of hope, a better future for our environment.
By partnering with Green Palette, you support the fight against climate change and contribute to building a cleaner, greener Ghana.
Together, we can reduce our plastic footprint and turn waste into something extraordinary.
Listening to bravery, compliment, volunteer, following your journey, and donate to support a sustainable future. Green Palette, your room.
Why are you making me again? No. Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been given just 1 minute. 1 minute. So let me make this as brief as possible. My name is Beatrice B. Arthur. I'm a curator and an artist, and I'm here to support Salim because we're a family now. We have an amazing exhibition ongoing at the Museum of Science and Technology. It was opened on the 5th of June and it lasts till the 5th of July. So one of the artists, we're 6 artists, Salim, myself, and Obed Ado. We have 3 other amazing artists. We want to show you that there is an afterlife for what you consider as waste. So please come and see all the amazing things that we're doing. Everybody has his own style. It's very pleasing to the eye, but it's very pedagogical because we also want children to come. The idea is, as everybody here has said, and I'll just reiterate, it's about attitudinal, behavioral change. The villain is not the plastic. The villain is the hand where it throws that plastic. So everything starts with us and how our attitude. So please, from here, I recommend you just drive straight Liberation Avenue and just go and see this absolutely, if I may say so myself, amazing exhibition. You would be blown away. Salim's work are awesome, so are Obed's. And I also have some interesting works which touch also on textile waste pollution. I'm primarily a fashion designer. So when you go to the beaches, you see that the fake hair is mixed with the plastics, it's mixed with the cloth. It's all there on our beaches, including nets. Another thing we need to talk about, those single filament nylon nets that trap all the marine life and the turtles. I think my 1 minute is up. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, final thing on the agenda, Jacqueline will give us a closing prayer, and then we'll take a group picture in front here. Just a long line of legends for the picture before we leave here. So, Jacqueline, quickly, and then we'll take a picture, and then we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for your patience and your participation. Thank you so much.
I'll just stand here. Shall we please bow down our heads as we say a word of prayer, since we started with one? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for a successful day. We thank you for this program. We thank you for this initiative. Father, I believe that everyone in this room is taking away something that will help in our green space, something that will help make our world a better place. Daddy Lord, as Green Palette is now rolling, every initiative that we have on board, please be our light and guide so that we can also contribute our quota in shaping this world into a better place. We ask for your guidance and protection even as we head back to our various workplaces, our homes, that your light that led us here should be that same light that will lead us back. And in all of this, we give you thanks, praises, and adoration through Christ Jesus, your only Son, our Lord. We have prayed with thanksgiving. Amen. Amen.